When I think of skyscrapers, the first cities that come to mind are New York, Dubai, or Shanghai. But what if I told you there's a small city in Brazil quietly catching up? And they're not just catching up, they're going for the tallest residential skyscraper in the world. Welcome to Balneário Camboriú, one of the few places on Earth where height restrictions simply don't apply. And that regulatory freedom has sparked a race to the sky. But what's going on here? Hey, I'm Luis, this is MegaBuilds, and today we're diving into the strange story of how a small beach town became the skyscraper capital of South America. Historically, Balneário Camboriú was just another beach town in southern Brazil. Its main industry was fishing mullet, sardines and anchovies. Hardly glamorous. And up until the 70s, locals mostly lived in small wooden houses. Tourism existed, but it was low-key. There were no high-rises, no traffic jams, and obviously none of the luxury yachts that you see on the marinas today. So what happened? It all goes back to the changes that took place in Brazil in the 1990s. After decades of political and economic instability, President Fernando Henrique Cardoso began implementing new policies that put the country on a new path. He reduced the prices of imports, privatized state-owned companies, and aggressively started encouraging foreign investment. And the result? Money started pouring into Brazil. Foreign companies set up factories and offices across the country. The Brazilian stock market shot up, and so did tourism. And a growing upper middle class started spending more, especially on real estate. A countrywide construction boom began. Local developers started searching for coastal regions to develop. That wasn't hard. Brazil is a country with a vast number of beaches. In total, the country has 7,500 kilometers of shoreline. But most of the cities and towns that these beaches were in had limited space and strict restrictions on the height of buildings. That is, except for a town situated on the Atlantic coast in the southern part of Brazil called Balneário Camboriú. But how did this come about? Believe it or not, no maximum height was ever set in the original 1970 master plan. And when height restrictions were introduced in 1989, they were still flexible. So the skyline quickly started to change. High-rise buildings began to appear along the seafront, driven by booming tourism and a growing demand for real estate. But the real transformation happened in 2008, when new legislation was introduced. This allowed private developers to purchase additional construction potential, or air rights, directly from the municipality. This deal meant as long as they paid the local government, private developers could pretty much build as high as they wanted. And the money raised from these sales was then set aside to be used for public works, including building new roads, improved drainage and other infrastructure. This kind of policy is extremely rare anywhere in the world. Even skyscraper capitals like Hong Kong or New York have certain caps on the height of buildings and how much airspace they can occupy. In Balneário Camboriú, this freedom quickly triggered a race that is still going on today. Private developers compete to build taller and taller, each one trying to outdo the other. Leading the pack in this race is FG Empreendimentos, a family-run real estate company headed by Francisco and Jean Graciola, that now controls roughly 80% of beachfront properties. And you notice it immediately when you get into the city. FG's billboards are everywhere, and at night their initials glow across the entire bay. But not everyone is happy about how much influence they have. Over the past 40 years, FG has been one of the main driving forces behind this dramatic transformation. Even though the city only spans an area of 47 square kilometers and less than 150,000 permanent residents, it now has all the amenities, luxuries and the vibe of a major metropolis. It has also become a favorite holiday destination for many of the rich and famous in Brazil, who come here for the exceptional views of the Atlantic Ocean and safe public spaces. Among them are billionaire industrial and retail families, wealthy farmers, and celebrities such as soccer star Neymar. Today, Balneário Camboriú hosts many of the tallest buildings in the country, but developers have more surprises in store. So let's take a look at 5 recently built or currently planned skyscrapers, and why this small piece of land might soon be home to the tallest residential skyscraper in the world. In the 5th spot we have the Titanium Tower. Construction of this skyscraper started in 2023 and is set to finish in 2027. At 240 meters or 787 feet high, this tower is going up in one of the city's most prized seafront locations. What truly sets this skyscraper apart from others is the fact that each floor here is taken up by a single apartment, and that the walls of these apartments are made almost entirely out of glass. This means that you have total exclusivity on each floor. Each apartment has unobstructed 360-degree panoramic views of the ocean and the whole city. It's like having your own personal lookout. In the 4th spot we have the Boreal Tower. Completed in May 2025, this tower stands at 241 meters or 790 feet tall. Looking at the Boreal Tower, you'll notice it has unique flowing curves and cuts a striking figure on the skyline. That's because the architects took inspiration from nature and designed the tower like a lotus flower, making it unfold outwards towards the city. In the 3rd spot is the One Tower. This isn't just another tall building, it's a record breaker. When it was completed in December 2022, the One Tower officially became the tallest building in Brazil and the tallest residential building in all of Latin America. Standing at 290 meters or 951 feet tall, it really looks like a giant compared to surrounding buildings. And at these heights it's crucial to get the elevators right, which is why they use the same advanced technology as those in New York's World Trade Center, traveling at 5 meters per second and reaching the top floor in under a minute. When the tower was finished back in 2022, it brought international recognition to the city. And FG Empreendimentos organized a big celebration that included a massive light show, fireworks and even a ballet performed on the side of the building. But the One Tower wouldn't hold the record as Brazil's tallest building for long. Just nearby, by the marina in an area called Barra Sul, stand the Yachthouse 1 and 2. At 294 meters or 964 feet, these twin towers are currently the tallest buildings in all of Brazil. But they used a little trick. Construction finished in 2023, yet it wasn't until a final touch in 2024 that they surpassed the One Tower and claimed the record. And by final touch, we mean these two pinnacles right here. But these minor changes won't matter for long, because something insane is on the way. Welcome to the Senna Tower, that will stand at a staggering height of 544 meters or 1,785 feet. Located on the same exclusive beachfront on this tiny piece of land, it is scheduled to start construction at the end of this year. And if completed, it would even be the tallest residential building in the entire world. But why is it called the Senna Tower? Because it is being designed by Lalali Senna, niece of legendary Brazilian Formula 1 driver Ayrton Senna. The design is meant to be a tribute to her late uncle, who already passed away back in 1994, and remains a national icon in Brazil. Official renderings of the building show it looking slender and streamlined with glass walls wrapped in glowing lights that go all the way to the top. This design is meant to be a symbol of Ayrton's ambition and his rise from humble beginnings to become one of the greatest race car drivers of all time. At the base of the tower there's a racetrack that encircles the building, designed so visitors can feel close to his story. And if all goes well, it is supposed to be finished by 2033. So we have plenty of time to watch it rise. In total, it is estimated that the Senna Tower will cost approximately $525 million. And local officials believe that such projects are good for the economy. They estimate that the construction of the Senna Tower alone is expected to generate approximately 12,000 construction jobs during its development phase. And once finished, the tower is expected to increase annual tourism by 9%. But as always, there's also another side. And the story goes a little bit like this. Developers like FG have a close relationship with the city government, and the current laws enable them to keep building new towers with few obstacles. As we've seen, these towers are then snapped up by Brazil's wealthy elite as second, third or even fourth homes. That drives up the prices, attracting investors looking for promising returns, but also compelling developers to build even more. Critics view this as a feedback loop, where the only real people who benefit from the construction boom are the developers and wealthy investors. Meanwhile, locals who lived in Balneário Camboriú their whole lives are getting priced out, pushed to the edges or out of the city entirely. And then there's the environment. The skyline might look impressive, but all of this construction comes at a cost. Years of non-stop building have worsened beach erosion and increasingly contaminated seawater in the region. And even though money for additional air rights is supposed to be spent on developing the public sector, there are many signs that the infrastructure can't keep up. Public transport is very limited, and traffic jams and the smog that comes with them are now part of everyday life. So while the skyline in Balneário Camboriú keeps growing, not everyone is convinced the city is headed in the right direction. At the same time, local authorities and international experts all predict the city will continue to attract wealthy buyers in the coming years. Despite the criticism, this place still offers a rare mix for developers that's hard to find elsewhere in Brazil. Beautiful beaches, a cooperative local government, and a reputation for strong investment returns. So what does that mean? It means for now, the race to build taller and taller skyscrapers will likely continue. Construction of several new high-rises are already being planned. Among them is a 78-story tower scheduled for 2026 called the Armani Casa Residences. And there's also a new project by FG Empreendimentos called FG Tower. But what do you think? Is the story of Balneário Camboriú a success story? Or is it an investment game for the ultra-rich? I'm excited to read your comments down below, and thank you so much for watching. As always, we'll see you in the next one.